When I opened my eyes in the hospital, I thought the hardest part of my life was over. I was wrong. The nurse smiled gently as she adjusted my blanket. "You've been unconscious for almost 2 days. You're lucky to be alive." I reached for my phone, expecting dozens of missed calls from my husband, Ethan. We had been married for 7 years. Through every struggle, every late-night bill, every dream that seemed impossible, I believed we were partners. Instead, there wasn't a single message, no missed calls, nothing. A strange feeling settled in my chest. Maybe he was driving, maybe he had lost his phone, maybe. The hospital room door opened. I smiled, expecting Ethan. Instead, my younger sister Lily walked in, her face pale. She hugged me so tightly that I could barely breathe. "Emily," she whispered. Something in her voice terrified me. "What happened?" She hesitated. "I didn't want you to find out like this." My heart began pounding. "Find out what?" She looked away before saying the words that shattered everything. "Ethan filed for divorce yesterday." The room went completely silent. I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone refusing to believe reality. "That's impossible." Lily slowly handed me a folder. Inside were divorce papers, signed, filed official. My hands began shaking. Then I noticed something highlighted. My client requests full ownership of the marital home, both vehicles, and all jointly acquired assets. At the bottom, a handwritten note. "You never contributed enough anyway." My vision blurred. 7 years. Reduced to one cruel sentence. But Lily wasn't finished. She swallowed hard. "Emily." "What?" "He got married again." I stared at her. "No. It happened yesterday afternoon." My breathing stopped. "Yesterday? You were still in intensive care?" I couldn't process it. While I was lying unconscious after a near-fatal accident, my husband had married another woman. Not weeks later, not months later, the very next day. My entire world collapsed. But what Ethan didn't know was that I had been keeping one secret from everyone, including him. 3 years earlier, I had quietly started a software consulting business. At first, it was just freelance work from home. Then companies began calling. One client became 10. 10 became 50. Eventually, my annual income crossed $130,000. I never flaunted it. I invested every dollar carefully: stocks, real estate, savings, emergency funds. Everything was in my name. Not because I didn't trust Ethan, but because I wanted to surprise him once our financial future became secure. Instead, that surprise would become his greatest nightmare. 2 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. The first thing I did wasn't calling Ethan, it wasn't crying, it wasn't begging. I visited my attorney, she reviewed every document, then she smiled. "This may be the easiest divorce case I've ever seen." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She tapped the paperwork. "He assumed you were financially dependent." "He is. He also assumed the house belongs to both of you." "It doesn't?" "No." I looked confused. She pointed at every document. "The down payment came entirely from your personal account. The mortgage has been paid almost entirely from your business income. The vehicles? Registered in your name? The investment accounts? Only yours. The business? Also yours." She leaned back. "Legally. He owns almost nothing." For the first time since waking up, I smiled. Not because I wanted revenge, because justice had finally arrived. 3 days later, my phone rang. "Ethan." I answered calmly. He sounded terrified. "Emily, we need to talk." "Why?" "There seems to be some mistake." "What mistake?" "The lawyer says I can't take the house." "I know." "They said the cars aren't mine." "I know." "My bank account was frozen because the joint account had almost no money." "I know." Silence. Then his voice cracked. "You never told me." I looked out the window. "You never asked." He started yelling. "You tricked me. No. You lied." "I simply didn't advertise my success." He grew desperate. "My new wife thought we'd be living in your house." Our house, I corrected. Actually, my house. Another long silence. Then came the sentence I had waited to hear. Emily. I made a mistake. There it was. Not love, not regret, just panic. The panic of a man who realized he had abandoned the wrong woman. I met him once, only once. He looked exhausted. The expensive suit he wore during his wedding had already disappeared. His new wife wasn't beside him. Instead, he sat alone across the table. I want another chance. I smiled politely. Why? I still love you. No. I always loved your future. His face turned white. I slid one envelope across the table. Inside were photographs. Pictures of him vacationing with the woman he secretly dated while pretending to work late. Hotel receipts, private messages, wedding reservations made weeks before my accident. He realized everything I had known for months. I wasn't unconscious when our marriage died, I said quietly. It died the moment you chose someone else. He lowered his head. I've lost everything. I stood up. No, you lost everything the day you believed I had nothing. Without another word, I walked away. Months later, my business expanded internationally. I purchased a beautiful new home overlooking the ocean. I created a scholarship in memory of the doctors who saved my life. Most importantly, I found peace. As for Ethan, his second marriage lasted less than 6 months. The woman he abandoned me for left when she discovered there was no mansion, no luxury cars, and no hidden fortune waiting for them. People often ask if revenge truly brings happiness. I always give the same answer. The best revenge isn't making someone suffer. It's becoming so successful that the people who underestimated you are forced to watch your happiness from a distance. And somewhere. A man who once laughed while saying, "I'm taking the house and the car," still remembers the day he called in absolute panic because the woman he thought was worthless turned out to be the richest person he had ever known.